Is it? Okay, welcome back to Messy Missy Podcast. We are so excited today. I have been waiting weeks to have this conversation because hearing her background and her stories, you guys do not want to miss this episode. So, I am your host, Melissa, with the Messy Missy Podcast. Why? Because it's just time to get real. It's just time to stop living behind Photoshop and Chat GPT and all that fakeness, because underneath it all is where the greatness happens, right? Like, we are creating beautiful businesses and we want to help inspire you to keep going, to keep creating your beautiful life, your beautiful business through your messes. And someday you'll be ready to share your messes just like we are here today. So, without further ado, because I seriously cannot wait to dive into this material today. I cannot wait to hear from Brenda Leese. We've been connecting through the socials, but this is actually our first time connecting, face to face, and to hear from her side of her story and to tell you guys how you can keep going. And then we're going to get to how you can actually work with her if you want to. So, without further ado, I like to let my guests introduce themselves because nobody can do it better than you. So, Brenda Leese, thank you for being here today. I'm so excited. If you can't tell, like, I have this like energy about me because I just read through all the stuff that you've been doing. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to meet her. I need to know her. And I think so many other women need you in their lives. So without further ado, tell us about yourself.
Yes, so I am a mother, a wife. I've been married for, oh my God, I shouldn't even say this because people are going to age me. I've been married for 24 years. It will be my 25th year anniversary this year. I married very young, but still. And I work in corporate America for over 23, 24 years. And recently I made the leap into entrepreneurship and I became a holistic transformational coach. I really love helping people reprogram their minds to achieve basically success. Sometimes we set up very specific goals in our life, and for some reason, we don't get to those goals because we kind of sabotage ourselves or limit ourselves from getting there. And I am right there supporting everybody that comes through my door to rewire that, reprogram that, and get a hold of their life. I'm on a mission, and I'm on a mission of helping women feel worthy of their success because I experienced that through my years in corporate and enhance their emotional intelligence through years in corporate. I was told that in order to progress, I needed to be able to control my emotions and embrace the path to freedom and purpose. So, yeah, I just want people to love their life and feel comfortable in their own skin.
That. So you were told to control your emotions.
Oh, yeah. In many occasions through my career, like I was put in, or I was told that I was not considered for certain conditions because of my emotional immaturity.
Wow.
Because in order for me to be able to step in the big rooms, I needed to be able to control better my emotions. And yeah, today I take it for what it is. It was just an observation and a reflection of the things I needed to work in my life. And today I can say I could step in any room and handle anything because I've worked on myself.
Well, yeah, and it's led you to where you are today.
Absolutely, 100%. If it wasn't because of all those challenges, I wouldn't be here having a conversation with you.
Right. Okay. So, unfortunately, fortunately, right? Messy Missy's podcast is that we've all had messes. And
Oh,
tell us, I love what you said about just showing up authentically. And I know there's a little bit of a buzz around like authenticity, but we really mean it. Like, we really mean, you and I anyway, show up on our ugly days, show up during all of it. But tell us about tragedy that you had that you really had to, overcome, and how you built something beautiful.
Okay, so in 2020, no, 2016, I basically was told I had to travel for work. And I'm gonna put a little bit of detail in the story to make it make sense. I was told that I needed to go to Canada for a training, and I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to be there. Like I had so much going on in my life, and that was the least place I wanted to go, regardless of the fact I went against my will, because that's what I needed to do. That's what the company was expecting of me. I was getting into a taxi. I remembered as if it was today, a white taxi cab. It was a minivan. And as I was getting into the taxi, I was so focused on all the things that I needed to do, like all the things I left behind, the people I needed to call. Like I was just in my misery right there. And as I was getting into the taxi cab, I hold myself from the with the handrail that the minivans have to pull yourself up. And I pulled myself up with so much speed, and I didn't duck my head. So my head went and collapsed completely against the border of the car, of the minivan, and I compressed my spine. So I stayed in Canada. I didn't go to the doctors. I was in pain for a whole week, and until I couldn't deal with it anymore. And when I went back home on that was I think on a Monday, and then when I went back home on a Friday, I went almost directly to the emergency room. And it took me 5 days to come get out of the hospital after an emergency cervical fusion. Like literally, I went from being very active to all of a sudden I was losing the power of my hand. So I couldn't hold things. My hand couldn't hold in the air. So I had to have an emergency cervical fusion.
Wow. So you had the surgery.
Yes.
Then what happened?
So after the surgery, like I went on a spiral because of course that's what we do. We're humans. Our mind goes in many different directions, and then we start to overthink things and the different scenarios. And if I had been present, and if I had said no to the trip, and blah 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 blah, like I like why like I went on such a deep spiral that it kind of stopped my healing journey. So I was in severe pain. I would go to the doctor, and the doctor would say, but everything's looking like you're healing. You shouldn't be having these levels of pain. But I was still having so much levels of pain. Normally people would take 6 weeks to recover from a cervical fusion. It took me 6 months to get back to work, but it took me more than a year or two to feel that I could manage the levels of pain. And it was because I was in my own head, constantly thinking about the things that I didn't do. And I think the biggest challenge was the guilt I had as a mom, because I was traveling, I was doing all these things, I wasn't present for my family, and that guilt was eating me alive. Like, it made me, it was like the event threw a bucket of ice water through my head and said, everything you've done in your life until now, it's time to revisit it. And that's during my healing journey, that's where my mind was going. What happened was I realized that I realized there was something more, but I didn't know how to deal with it. So I went on a rabbit hole, internet, like nights of not sleeping, just looking. I wanted to hear about other people that had experienced the same thing. And everybody was pointing about the importance of the mind, body, soul connection. And everybody was talking about how meditation, journaling, gratitude, Reiki, acupuncture, all of these different methodologies were helping them be able to actually heal. And I went on that rabbit hole, and I haven't stopped ever since, because it's been so enlightening in my life, that it's basically changed the way I see the world, right? It's changed the way I experience my life, because now I know I am in full control of the outcomes of my life.
Beautiful. That's just gorgeous. Okay. So you quit corporate.
So not yet. So what happened is, at that time I went back to work because I was the breadwinner in my house. Like I was the amount of pressure. I felt I wasn't healed completely, and I went back to work, and I realized that that wasn't for me anymore. Like that environment didn't fit into my lifestyle. It wasn't me. It wasn't meant to be. I shouldn't be there. And it didn't feel. It felt like my values were not in alignment anymore with the values of what I was experiencing in the company. So there was a big disconnect, but I still stayed in corporate from 2017, which I came back to work, all the way to 2022, because that felt comfortable. That felt like, the paycheck coming safe, the safety. That felt like I had a lot of fear about starting over, about medical insurance, about how I was going to handle success. What if I failed? Blah, blah, blah.
Right,
But in
right.
2022, I lost my job. So I have a belief that this is a very deep rooted belief that now I have, that God, source, universe sends you breadcrumbs, right?
Yep. Yep.
However, if you don't pay attention of the breadcrumbs, then the message becomes louder. You either become sick or other things
Mhm.
start to happen. And if you don't listen, then it's like the universe screams at you, right? And
So totally.
that's for me when losing my job was like, hey, you have not done what you needed to do. You need to be here. You need to change your path. You haven't been paying attention to the signs. It's time to rethink your life. And that's how I took it. In 2022, when I lost my job, I started to think about, okay, do I go back to corporate America, or do I go back and continue building my business? Do I build my business? And what ended up happening is I went through a turmoil of of grief, because losing the
Hmm.
job,
Yep.
20 something years in corporate America,
Yep.
and then everything I had not healed about my injury emotionally, and everything else I had not healed in my life came back fiercely. So that's when, in October of 2022, after my husband did a big intervention, that's when I said, you know what? Like, I surrendered to God, and I said, God, just guide me on the path and show me, deep down in my heart what I desire. Show me the path. And I feel like that surrendering was like that opening the door of, do you want the path? Here's the path. And then people began to get into my life. And then all of a sudden, like the what I was looking for, because I felt I needed to really let go of things and I didn't know how, it was like things showed up in my life. And that's how I ended up getting certified as an NLP master practitioner, because I was looking for something that would help me get out of my own head and will allow me to let go of the emotions. I respect therapy, but therapy wasn't for me. I tried it for many years and I felt it was like reliving things over and over. And when I experienced the different NLP methodologies, I got results pretty fast, and it wasn't like reliving my life all over again.
Wow.
I don't know
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Incredible. Very, very like parallel paths to me, because I lost my job in 2023 and had an identity crisis, right? Like
Absolutely.
it had been my whole everything, even though I've got children and family, but unfortunately my job was everything I did day in and day out. And I had that grief that you speak of. So hopefully, if our listeners are hearing this and it resonates with you, comment below and reach out to either, one of us, but definitely reach out to Brenda Leese, because you don't have to do this alone. I thought I was crazy. I really thought,
Mm,
like, who has grief over a job loss? This is crazy talk.
it's
But
crazy.
tell me, so you touched on one thing I want to go back to, because I don't think a lot of women have this support. You mentioned your husband did an intervention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting. It was a Friday morning, and I was sitting in my bed, and he came into the room and he said, "We need to talk." I remember where he was standing. He was standing next to the switch, the electric switch,
Uh-huh.
and he closed the door and he said, I want you to know that whatever you need, we are here to support you. Whatever
Wow.
path you want to take, we are here to support you. But you need to tell us how we can help you. You can't continue living in the past because that's where I was. You can't continue living in what you could have done different. You can't continue blaming others. You need to let go. You need to heal, let go, and move on so you can continue with your life. But until you tell us what you need, we can't help you. He's like, your daughter and I are, we just see you not sleeping, not eating well, grumpy, reactive. We see you are not being completely present. We see how miserable you are, but we can't do anything because you need to be the one who owns this. And I remember looking at him and saying, I just don't know. I don't know what to do. Like I don't know. Like I have read all the books. I knew about the law of attraction. I knew about gratitude. I knew about all of that. But I couldn't even get myself to the point of a
Right.
positive thought lasting more than 17 seconds in my mind because
Right.
all the baggage was coming and haunting me. Like imagine a movie of terror, like everything coming, running, you're running and everything behind you. That's how I felt at that time. And it's funny because after he said that, I remember I cried and cried and cried and cried. And that's when I said, I surrendered to God, to source or universe, whichever you believe. In my case, I use them interchangeably. I surrendered to source and God and said, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Just guide
Right.
me.
Right.
And
Right.
it was like a surrender from here, from the heart. Like it's one of those few times in my life where I felt the real surrender happen. Like that, like, okay, I don't care. I don't want to have control over this anymore. You guide me. And then, like,
Incredible.
I met with friends started to introduce to me topics. Then I ended up, somebody sent me a link. Ended up looking for a topic in the internet. I found a workshop that was happening in Boston. I was living in New Jersey at that time. Friday, my husband did the intervention. Sunday, I found the workshop. Monday, I told my husband. Tuesday, I made the decision. I found however, I was going to fund it. And Tuesday, I made the decision. Wednesday, I was on a train to Boston. And Thursday, I began my training. It was like
Bumps.
all was meant to happen. Like everything aligned perfectly to my healing path. And then
Oh,
when I was there, it was a 4-day training. And I was there and I was so blown away that I had to come back and tell my husband, like, I want to do the advanced training. And the advanced training was a week from then. So it was a week after I had come back from Boston. And like there was a lot of logistics that we had to figure out. My daughter was, I believe, 12 at that time, or 11. And like she's had anxiety, separation anxiety with me before. I was very concerned about her. And it was incredible because she looked at me in the eyes when I talked to her and told her that I wanted to do that. And she said, Mom, you take care of us all the time. You take care of everybody. Everybody's a priority, but it's time you take time for yourself. It's time that you do you first. I
wow.
remember looking at her, Melissa, and my tears were like, she's just 12 and she's
Yeah, that's
like
incredible.
biggest teacher in my life. Like literally, she just blew my mind away. And I went to I went to Arizona. I did the 17. I was away for 17, 18 days. I came back and my husband looked at me and he said, well, how many jobs did you apply while you were in Arizona? And I looked at him and said, let's talk about what I learned. He said, okay. And I started to just pour my heart out. And when I opened that mouth, he looked at me and he said, oh, no, you're not going back to corporate America. And I said to him, you are completely right. It's that okay? And he's like, well, we'll do whatever we need to do, but we'll make
Wow.
it happen. And that's how I ended up like going on this path, because my transformation was so amazing in such a short period of time. I believed so much in the methodology that I'm like, there's so many of me out there that
Yes.
need the work I do to help them be able to move in their life forward. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Oh my God. So because I will tell you, it is rare to find a spouse, significant other that did what your husband did for you and to support
Mm.
you. So what you're doing is going to help so many women. All right. So let's dive into like for our listeners and our viewers, how can they work with you and what can you do for them? Like who do you serve and how do they know it's right, for them to reach out to you? And please, like, let's go all in on this.
So I love to work with professional women. I love to, especially like either if they're going into entrepreneurship. I believe the journey into entrepreneurship, if you have not healed what you need to heal from your past, if you have not let go of the baggage, or and you're carrying that 300-pound gorilla into entrepreneurship, I believe entrepreneurship becomes very difficult. So
Right.
either if you are in corporate and you're lost and you kind of lost yourself because the who you've become is not who you want to be at that point in time, those are the people I want to work with. Or people who jump into entrepreneurship and they didn't do the healing journey, those are the people I want to work with. And basically what I do is I work with people in two different ways. So I have this woman's breath circle that I'm launching in March, where it's basically like a group coaching where we'll experience transformational somatic breath work, and it's deep healing breath work. And then we'll do it in a group and container, and we'll go through different journeys to heal different components of our life. We'll do it together, and it's probably going to be a 3-month program. That one I'm launching in March, and it's the information is coming out pretty soon. But then let's say people want to work very deep and they're tired of excuses. They know they desire more in their life, and they want to get the freedom that they feel. They want to feel they can be finally themselves again, and they can experience life from a lens of joy rather than frustration, fears, or doubt. Then I have the one-on-one container, which I begin with a deep dive. Basically we do the mind reset the first 2 sessions that we work together, and then you have a clear way of thinking that will allow you to then create any path that you want. So if you want to go into entrepreneurship, we create that path. If you want to find another job, we create that path. Or if you want to accelerate your business, we create that path. But it all begins with that mind reset.
Oh, wow. That's so powerful. And you do use a few different modalities for the mind
Yes.
reset.
Yes. So the 2-day intensive that it's combined with the coaching, with the one-on-one coaching, the 2 days intensive is I use what it's called a mental and emotional release breakthrough methodology that was written by created by Dr. James Matt. And he has a PhD in integrative psychology. And basically I use their NLP, neuro linguistic programming. I use hypnosis if the person is open to. I know some people may not be open to hypnosis, will work around it. And I use then the mental and emotional release technique, which is basically releasing bottled emotions and limited beliefs in an instant. It's really quickly we do it. The person is under control completely. And then I use different techniques to help them integrate. Like you would walk away with a recording for 21 days of your self hypnosis to support your transformation. Like you'll walk away with a lot of different techniques to help you manage yourself through different ups and downs that life sends us.
Mhm.
And then through the one-on-one coaching, then we start to create then that vision of you, that avatar, that vision of who you want to be, do, and have. And then we go into details to the point where you walk away feeling like the 300-pound gorilla you've been carrying without knowing is completely gone.
Wow, that's incredible. So we'll definitely have all of your contact details down below. So you can contact Brenda Leese and reach out to her. And I encourage you to. I have been in my journey and through my messes, definitely somebody who speaks highly of meditation,
Absolutely.
manifestation, SE. I've been through SE trauma therapy and recently some hypnosis work, and it's incredible.
It's really incredible.
The science of it and the correct application of it can change anybody's, I mean, everybody's life. There's no mess too big for any of that. Um, so thank you so much for being here and just telling us your story and being so authentic, and what an incredible story. And just if you don't have the support that Brenda Leese had, because so many of us don't know, that that's why we're here. That's why we're building
Absolutely.
these communities. So you're not alone. You can build beautiful lives and beautiful businesses through your messes. Just get in the right communities like us. If you're listening to this, if you've enjoyed this podcast today, please leave a rating. Let me know, comment. I'm very involved with my community, so I'd love to hear feedback or any questions you have in listening to this. Would love to engage with you. Thank you, Brenda Leese. Any parting thoughts?
I would just say we all have the power within ourselves to live the life we truly desire. Like, if we really want something in life, it can happen. The only thing stopping us from going that path is ourselves.
Yep.
So if we make that choice of moving towards what we really desire and get the support and the help from the right people, we can get to wherever we want. Now, what we believe, we create. Most of our challenges we have in our life today, it's because of our belief system. And that we can reprogram. That's not something that it's set in stone. And when you reprogram it, you're not only healing you, but you're healing generations back and regenerations forward. So you're
Absolutely.
basically having a ripple effect into the world, which is what we need in this time that we're living right now.
Yeah. There's no mess too big for us to help with.
Nope.
You're not too old. You're not too stuck. You're not too anything, which is
Nope.
why we're here.
Exactly.
It's
And at
beautiful.
the end of the day, surround yourself with the people who are going to bring you up. If you feel your network and the people that are supporting you right now are pushing you down even further, then start to walk away from them and start to surround yourself with the people who are going to help you, energetically speaking, get you to where you want.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It's been amazing to have you today.
It's
And
been
I
a
wish you
pleasure.
all the best with your new launch. Thank you.
Thank you.